in exposure, if you don't know the
Great. Can you hear all the other mics?
Because it's pretty obvious when you. It's pretty obvious when you don't have any of the answers.
What's that?
Yeah, I think so.
What's on the monitor? We're live.
Well, we're going to definitely. Thank you, man.
All right, Chief. You here?
I'm here.
You got it. All right. You got it.
Rufus, we are live.
Gotta get questions from the studio audience.
He's the man.
No, I don't want any hardball questions. I've had a hard day, so.
You take the pants out of the audience.
I got a dial tone in the background. Boy, I got to loosen up to do this. My name is Rufus Johnson. I am the founder and CEO of the Real Truth, Inc. What a ride it's been for the last 11 months. But we here to talk about a program that's been in existence that I've been doing for the last 25 years. For the last 5 years, I just arrived to the point in releasing the 7 Seals of Game Culture. I'm the founder and CEO of the Real Truth. I'm the host and the producer of the Real Truth. I want to get actually in the program because I got a call from the chief office. I only had so much time. So it was like, Mr. Johnson, the chief got to be out of here at this particular time. Well, you know who that is.
He's a busy man.
Yeah, he's a busy man. Then first I want to start off to my left and introduce my co-host, Mr. Nicholas Holland, endorsed Democratic candidate. A good friend of mine's. Everybody knows that, what had happened, during the campaign run. We actually was out here for the last 4 months. This is my first time back on the air, actually hosting my first show in, 4 months, Nicholas?
Right about it, yeah.
About 4 months. So I was just joking with the chief because I heard him early on the other day on Lincoln Ware show, and he was like, well, you know, I'm kind of rusty. You know, I don't do. Okay, let me clear it up. He said, well, you know, I don't do radio, I do policing. Okay. But as he was going through, you know, the course of the hosting the show, he got kind of loosened up like around the next hour, so he was flowing, you know. Tune in to, you know, 12:30 The Buzz, you know, like, okay then. So that's how I feel about now, but I get back in the flow.
You feel a little rusty right now?
No, I'm not rusty, you know.
You can roll out of bed and do this.
But it's all good. We wait for some more guests to come. But at the same time, I want to, like I said, me and Nicholas, you know, as me being his liaison, community liaison for the campaign, we've been out here, and I've been an advocate for over 25 years, you know, putting in work. I just wanted, you know, to thank everybody that support, and the ones that didn't support, we thank you too. You know, so we give our shout out to everybody that was behind us in the times of trouble, because, you know, his wife had a premature child, but the child is okay, and he is okay, but we back. But I'm gonna turn it over to him so he can, you know, show his love and appreciate for the support that y'all gave us for the campaign. Nicholas Holland.
Well, thank you. You know, this is the first time that we've done a show since the election. And just yesterday, we had a brand new council sworn in. And though I didn't make it this time, I think the voters did a great job. I mean, we have a fantastic council that's young, that's energetic, that wants to make a positive change in Cincinnati. And I think that they have the means and the willpower to do just that. Now, we came up a little short. We came about 5,000 votes short of where I needed to be. So that puts me 75% there. I'm looking at my glass being half full. So I'm 3/4 of the way there. With your help, with your vote next time, maybe we'll cross the finish line. But today, you know, we want to turn it over to our special guest, since we have a limited time with you and want to make sure we can pick your brain and get your insights on the city that we all care so much about and we all want to see move forward.
You know, when I actually thought about releasing the 7 Seal of Game culture, Chief Craig, it's actually something that I had created when I came from Chicago and came here in Cincinnati in 1989. The first Gang Prevention Task Force was in 1990 under the command of Chief Snowden. That's before you, that was like 20 years ago. At that time, they did not acknowledge that it was they had gang problems. So, okay, if you run a street organization or whatever that may be, that's what that may be. Then after his term, Stryker came. It was the same mentality. Well, we don't have gang problems. We just have a group of people that's on the corners or whatever. Now, however they want to identify. Now, I watched that for 2 years. Now, when I became funded through the Cincinnati Empowerment Zone, I was the first Afro-American male recipient that actually was doing gang awareness here in the city of Cincinnati. That was with the universities, that was with penal institutions, that was with your major nonprofit agencies and your churches. And so I've been running that awareness for like almost 20 years. Right. But the thing that motivated me when you came, and I was watching you, and when you did the piece up in Walnut Hills, and whatever that was about, cleaning up that particular area, you was the first chief, and not to take nothing away from the other chief, that actually said it was a gang problem. But people don't understand it's not a gang problem, it's a culture. And that's what I represent, is the culture, it's the mentality. And when I heard that, I said, well, no, I'm not gonna do the 7 Seals. That was something that I had created, and I taught the first course on understanding the 7 Seals of gang culture at the University of Cincinnati in the Criminal Justice Department under Dr. R.E.A.L. He gave me my first contract. That was back in 2000. But when I heard that, I said, you know what? Life is too short. I'm gonna release it now and get your perspective on your plan, on what you bring to the table, because by you basically coming out of LA, you understand that particular culture. By me looking at your bio, I'm like, well, he can help Cincinnati understand what the culture is, where we are, and also to roll out your plan on where we going in Cincinnati in the future. So talk to me. Huh?
Okay. Well, as you know, I spent a lot of time in Los Angeles, and certainly Los Angeles is the epicenter, the beginning of serious gangs. Now, I know that you come from Chicago, and one of the street gangs I dealt with in Los Angeles originated in Chicago, Black P-Stones. I think in Chicago it was referred to as the Black P-Stone Rangers. Mm-hmm. or BPS as is oftentimes referred to. I was a young officer in LA when I got introduced to the gang culture. Because I became a gang officer, I worked South Bureau Crash. We had our gang units in Los Angeles during the 80s was referred to crash units. And so we began to understand what drove young people to gangs, although gangs really had started in Los Angeles during the 60s, the 70s, but primarily my focus was on black gangs. I was a black gang expert. We gained and gathered intelligence. But throughout my career, in different ranks that I worked, I had an opportunity to work with gangs, abate gang activity, and also embrace gang members. Because like you have here in Cincinnati, with street workers, we had gang interventionists. And that has shown to be a very effective tool in the fight against violent gang members. And it works well here in Cincinnati, but we still have work to do. As you pointed out, to say that there are no gangs in Cincinnati is an untruth. Factually, there are gangs. Is it a Los Angeles? Absolutely not. Is it a Chicago? No. Detroit? Not at all. But we do have gangs here. We do have individuals that they refer to as groups that are not affiliated with a street gang, or at least a street gang name, but they're involved in a criminal enterprise. So one could surmise from that, you know, they're gangs as well. But I'm about the business of saving lives, and my focus has been to abate violence. And the good news here in Cincinnati, since I've been here, we're right now year-to-date experiencing a 13% reduction in violent crime. We had some issues in the Over the Rhine area about a month ago. We've done a good job at reducing the violence, and I'm excited about that. We have plenty of work to do still in the Walnut Hills area, Avondale, and as you know, we went in with a very strategic plan to identify those who were involved in the violent activity. We also, as part of that effort, and I've done this in Los Angeles time and again, is mobilize the community, develop meaningful partnerships that cause the community to take back their neighborhoods from violent street gangs, and it works.
When you went back to the first organization that you dealt with the Black Peace Stones, and as I recollect my thoughts, I'll go back to from the 60s, when that actually originated from out of Chicago, under the leadership of Jeff Ford.
Right.
And then from that point, from the 1960s, what they did, Chief, they moved the name and was called part of R.E.A.L. It's still the foundation of Black Peace Stones, but it went to another name under R.E.L. I'm gonna share something with people in gang culture that they don't know, or they may know, that these particular cultures was interacting with terrorism, like Omar Gaddafi. A lot of people didn't know that the Black Peace Stone, or the Black Stone Rangers, what they call them, Black Peace Stones, was already originating and moving arms and different things in that order way before way before what just happened and moving him out of leadership. This was back in the 60s and the 70s. So when I look at gang culture, I don't look at gang culture in Cincinnati, as you say, where they have that level, but the mentality here is here. And anything to me that moves in drugs, violence, is as a group, you know, don't have to be identified as Bloods, Crips, or anything like that, which your background, you should know that. But my thing is, it's always here in Cincinnati been sugar-coated. Now the first unit that they had here, the first unit they had was disbanded, was under Lieutenant Taylor. Lieutenant Taylor was the one that headed up the unit, but I think there was council member Elisa Reese and Sam Malone that was actually fighting to keep the unit. Now the first unit that they started was back in 1992 and 93 when Dwight Tillery, former mayor, and Charlie Woodburn was pushing that issue. At that time, that's when I had actually came on the scene and I started doing some intervention and prevention on awareness training, signs, symbols, colors. We was doing it in schools and all these different things. So everybody had got away from that, and the whole thing was that after they got away from that, everything just got shut down. So here it is 10 to 15 years later.
Let me share this with you, my observations. The gang banging that goes on in Cincinnati is about 15 years behind Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
The
But
issues
moving in
that
that
I've
direction?
seen.
You say 15?
Well, it could move in that direction. I believe that we can get ahead of it because it's not a huge problem. We are already ahead of the problem right now. But when you start talking about what draws youth to gangs, are you aware of what draws youth to gangs?
It's a lot of things that draws
What's the single most one thing that draws young people to gangs?
family disconnection.
That's part of it. What draws them in, and I'm telling you, I know I can get that for you.
They calling for you.
They're watching it live.
Yeah, right. They calling for you.
The single most thing that draws young people to gangs is love.
I agree with that.
And so what we have to do in our intervention, we have to replace that misguided love to the kind of love that really shows young people that we care. And when you hear about my boot camp is all about that. I went into Los Angeles and we worked with a group of young people. I'm talking about middle school age children that really experience PTSD, just like our heroic men and women experience when they're deployed overseas. Young people. I'm talking about middle-aged school children that have seen their friend shot, their older sibling shot in jail, second, third generation gang members. There are issues there. And we have to step in and we have to show love. But we got to change behaviors. And we got to do it quickly. We got to be decisive. And then we got to stay connected. And does it work? This is not something I read in a book. This is something I know because I was involved in it directly. And we're going to do it here in Cincinnati.
Definitely. And, I'm looking forward to working with you on that committee. But then at the same time, when you did the cleanup in Walnut Hills, it's going to be cleanup in other different areas, far as, how they identify the groups in these, like Avondale, over the Rhine. We got problems out in Roselawn. We got problems out in Madisonville. You know what I mean? Is this a continuation?
The work continues.
Okay.
The work in Walnut Hills continues as we speak. It's not over.
Okay.
We're
It's just the beginning.
not just going to go in and do what we do, identify the people that, as you refer to, shot callers. It's not over. We want to make sure that community is in the rightful hands of the people who live, work, and play there. That will continue. That's my commitment. But you're right, it's not just Walnut Hills. We have other areas in the city that we're working on. We're still doing work in over the Rhine. We're still doing work in Avondale. I'm looking at bringing a police activities league into South Avondale. So we have a multifaceted approach to how we want to go in and return these neighborhoods back to the good people who live and work there.
Let me ask you to expand on that. After the arrests are made, and we talk about not too long ago in Price Hill, right on Warsaw and Elberon, there was a big roundup. In the past, in Northside, when there was a Taliban gang, Westwood had a gang where I live. After the headlines are out there and arrests have been made, who fills that void? How do you step up then as an organization to fill that void?
I'll tell you, 1 week after that, I'm sure you're aware, many of your colleagues that you were running with came out to our celebration. We had a community celebration, well attended. We had businesses like Kroger, we had Skyline. They came in and donated food, and we had a block party, a party for celebrating taking back the neighborhood.